Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the start of a brand new week with me, Alex Chisnell, here at the Festival of Enterprise. I'm joined by Graeme Risby. Graeme, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Much appreciated. You're down in Kent, I believe.
I am, yeah. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful part of the world. So yeah, very lucky.
Nice. Yeah, I've got the windows cracked open here today, and it feels pretty hot outside. I have to say. So look, thank you everybody for joining us today. Start of another week, as I say, here at the Festival of Enterprise. We've got a whole bunch of webinars for you throughout the course of this week. We've got another one straight after this one today as well, so do stay on board for that one with ASA, which I'll be hosting. But this one we're talking about a whole bunch of things. The title is Growing Your Community to Grow Your Business. But last time Graeme and I chatted, we covered a whole host of different subjects. So Graeme is the CEO and co-founder of Hiyacar. So he's a social entrepreneur, strong believer in using people-to-people networks through these technologies to improve people's lives. Think locally and impact globally, building community through business. And Hiyacar, for those of you who unaware at the moment of the business, obviously go and check them out on social media, check out the website as well. But they're a local car hire from the community for the community that actually covers the whole of the UK. They enable hassle-free peer-to-peer car rental in London and, as I say, throughout the UK. Recently launched in Bristol with a substantial presence there, which we will talk about as well. But essentially with a Hiyacar app, drivers can sign up, search for cars around the area and make bookings to rent a car, while car owners can list the cars for free, manage bookings and essentially earn some more revenue as well. Did I pretty much cover that, Graeme? Was that pretty good?
Absolutely nailed it. I'm going to have to ask you to do that in the future for me.
And glad we covered everything.
Yeah, the one we get mentioned is Airbnb for cars that we don't like. So thank you for not saying that as well.
I remember that from last time because I think that was my opening line from the podcast. So good to hear. Like he's drained a pint of water already. We haven't even started. Well, look, welcome everybody. Let us know where you're watching in from today. I'm down here in Poole in Dorset. Can see people joining us live now on the little counter I've got here as well. So first question probably, Graeme, is how things been with you last couple of months, like personally and the business? Have you continued to trade? Have you ended up having to furlough staff, press pause? I've obviously seen a few different articles in the press, which we could talk about as well. But yeah, how have things been essentially?
Yeah, well, I think first off, I'm healthy, and so my friends and family and work colleagues are. So I feel very lucky there. And yeah, I think on the personal side, it's been just quite a time to reflect really for everybody. I think running your own company, you have freedom to do things like take my kids to school every morning, but you're constantly in the business. So to actually have a bit of time out has been, I suppose it's been quite needed. With Hiyacar, it was particularly interesting because we were just starting our what we hope to be our last investment round about 2 weeks before, and we also between December and January we stopped trading because we changed our insurance underwriter. So for a lot, it felt after being down for a couple of months and then get back up and running again, come down again. It's been a bit crazy, especially for those team members that joined late last year. But I think it was really interesting for the business. When Rob and I started the company, it was to make better use of vehicles. You hear quite a lot of people talking about the car's the enemy, and it's not. I'm a keen cyclist. I cycle every week, but actually, if I need a car to go to IKEA or see some friends and family that live 30 miles away, I need a car. So actually, if we can share more cars, everybody kind of wins. So we got to a point where obviously nobody was traveling because of lockdown, and but we could see that there were lots of people, key workers, but especially NHS, that were just scared to get on public transport, which we still see, but also actually some people just like so scared because they were getting their badges kind of stolen. People could use them for discounts, which was awful. So when you go back to our purpose about putting cars to better use, you can't, to keep NHS workers safe and literally saving lives. There couldn't be any more for pure purpose, and we actually do that still today. We're still offering 30% to all NHS workers. So I actually lent my car to a local doctor, and it was incredible. She had it for 3 weeks, and just the true appreciation of actually how I helped her. Most people's cars are idle anyhow, but when you're locked down, they're always idle. And you were seeing the OEMs, car manufacturers, sending out emails to car owners saying you need to drive your car around just to keep it healthy. So going back to community, it was amazing how our owners stepped up. They actually said, look, I don't want to charge key workers anything. So obviously Hiyacar by default didn't get any commission. And we actually subsidised all of the insurance. So we spent 5 figures on allowing this to happen. And yeah, I think for us, again, it's not a business decision. You kind of think, well, but it was to do the right thing. So that was incredible, really. And
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're focused on like London and Brighton, where you'd have the majority of cars being able to lend to key workers, and I guess by default, again, by sheer numbers, the biggest percentage of key workers are going to be based around London and Brighton anyway.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and obviously now in Bristol as well. So yeah, we're kind of come on, but we use obviously we've got a partnership with a car manufacturer, which is Toyota. And for those, it's great because, again, as a partner, they were just truly amazing. They said, look, again, we'll waive all of our commission, and actually let's help, these people. And we actually got some cars into hospitals which are still there. So yeah, but if you had a peer-to-peer owner, which we did, that wasn't in London, Brighton, or Bristol, that lived near, a hospital, then they were signing up as well, which was great to see.
Very good. And how has things been literally since people were encouraged to get back to work, to essentially get on the road, is what I'm trying to say. But I guess a lot of people still don't want to go anywhere near public transport, don't want to sit on a train for a commute with a mask on their face, that kind of thing. I mean, there must be all sorts of reasons why people have wanted to start hitting the road again. Yeah, there is.
We touched on some numbers before, but June was our biggest month ever of trading by 72%. We've been trading for 4 years and zero marketing, which is kind of what we've been doing anyhow. And July was up 50% on June. Last week was our biggest ever week by 10%. So we've always had, it's never been a demand issue. It's been more on the supply side.
Yeah.
And we still have that. So if you've got a car that's younger than 15 years old, please share it on our platform and help one of your, somebody in your community. So yeah, our demand has gone up, I'll say about 20%. And that is pretty much what you kind of caveated there with, people were just scared to get on public transport. Also seeing people selling their second car, and actually their primary car, where they're not going to the office now. So again, there's no need to own a vehicle, which has been good to see. It's really interesting. So one of my team members, he's got 2 cars in London, very basic cars, and last month he made £1,600 from those vehicles.
Did he?
He's only a young lad. He made quite a lot of money last year, and he paid for quite a lot of his university. And if you've got a good car in the right area, there is demand for it, and if you're not using it, it will get booked out a lot. So yeah, it's been. I think the main bit, which is especially relevant for this, for the topic here, is that we, owners. Hiyacar is a great way to make or save money. But actually there's kind of the softer side which we set up the company for, which is actually get to know your neighbour rather than resenting them parking outside your house. Actually, if you shared one car and actually embrace each other, we get that sense of community. And it's been the B word that never gets used anymore, Brexit.
Yeah, indeed.
I'm not going to get into political stance, but one of our assumptions was there would be a recession afterwards. And actually, in a recession, you'll see people that have to look at different ways to make money. And actually, for our owners, we thought there'd be more demand there. I think kind of COVID is Brexit on steroids. It's even obviously it's tragic what's happening, and I think the worst is to come with regards to the financial impact. So actually, what you see now is a lot more owners listening. That our owners are signing up a lot more each day. But not only, yes, they want to make money, but the whole stranger danger thing that you kind of got brought up with, especially in the UK, is going away now. And you get people actually wanting just to help their neighbours. And I'm pointing to my phone here. We've got a feature called Mates Rates, which, if Alex, you live next door to me, I don't want to charge you £40 using my car. I can actually give you whatever I want off, 80%, 100%, whatever it is. And it's just a pure insurance play, really. So again, you're seeing more of those bookings go through where people are actually not worried about the money so much. It's more, how can I help somebody in my community, which has been great to see.
And remind me, Graeme, I know we touched on this before when we chatted for the Screw It, Just Do It podcast, but what are the numbers again, like broadly speaking, with regards to how long a car is actually, the average car is in use and how long it actually sits or something? Because it'll probably blow most people away.
Yeah, so again, there's stats on this, but generally it's about 95% of the time a car will sit idle. So I don't know if people here obviously on the call that own a car, who, and this is pre-COVID, who drives their car for more than 1 hour a day? Like, I definitely didn't. And, you maybe get a few hands up, but point being is that a car's used for 23 hours a day. It will sit idle, especially with our hourly insurance. It's just like, why not, when you're at work, share it out for 4 or 5 hours every day. So it's just bonkers. 38 million cars in the UK now that are registered. We don't need to be putting more cars into the system. Let's have 3.8 million cars that are used 100% of the time, as opposed to 5% of the time.
And have you seen more of those stories then, like when we talk about the kind of community aspect? And I'm really lucky where I live, in that when we had the last royal wedding, however many years ago that was now, we started like a WhatsApp group because everybody just had that big street party, etc. And it's just grown and grown that we've now got people who might have been a little bit more loath to embrace that kind of technology before, the older neighbours, and now somebody, I think, from pretty much every household in our street is on it. And especially during lockdown, you saw things literally like, I'm going to the shops, does anybody want a lift, or somebody need extra eggs, or all that kind of stuff. And I thought, have you seen like the numbers of stories, which is like free marketing at the end of the day, isn't it, for a business like yours?
I go back to our marketing spend for the last year has been pretty much zero, and we can talk about marketing more generic and another point of conversation here. But yeah, we for Hiyacar, we've said, look, we always look at it's not about what I think. My car was the first car hired out on the platform. For me, I just wanted to turn it into an asset and actually help somebody next door, close. But actually, it's about what our members care about. And so many companies will talk about their customer focused, but I think they still go into, we know best. But we don't. We really listen to our members. We look at the type and frequency. If there's a core problem, we solve it, and there's lots of problems and opportunities to improve. But what's the real value add as well? So we've raised over £10 million over the 4 years, and a lot of that's gone into our platform. And if you go onto Trustpilot or look at other reviews, when people use Hiyacar, it works. Around 60 to 65% of our bookings each month are from repeats. So that is our marketing. Let's give people the very best service out there, platform out there, support when it goes wrong, and think we are there. We're there 24/7, and people will talk about it.
Yeah,
and they come back and use it. It's not. I think I'm quite a simple person. I'm fortunate to have lots of people around me that are much more intelligent than I ever will be. But I do think there's a bit of an art form in keeping it simple. People can overcomplicate stuff. It's just, there's obviously lots of complexity under some of the way that the tech works. But a great example is loads of people come to us because they try to use Zipcar or Get Around, and they take over 24 hours to verify them. Well, you can sign up within 90 seconds on our app, and we've got the strongest verification, the most layers of verification than any peer-to-peer company, from what I know, and from what the market out there. So that wasn't easy to build that, and but again, it's going back to what is the core problem. So we're very lucky that answering your question directly, yes. And but I think we're very fortunate. We've always had that, and it's great to see the reviews, not only on Trustpilot but internally, and the way that people just help each other. It's it kind of gives your faith in humanity a boost. There's negativity out there, but actually, there's so many good things happening as well.
And when you're forecasting as much as you can, and given what's happened, especially like in the last 12 months for yourself, like traditionally, what would you look at for say August and September? Because now I suppose you're factoring in people are being encouraged to go back to work in September. I know like the co-share office space that I use opened up last week with like a test week, and they're kind of encouraging people, to get set up before September. And I don't know if I'm assuming it would be the same in London and throughout the country for the WeWorks and other office spaces. How do you kind of forecast for that with demand and stuff?
Yeah, well, we don't have targets. It's another half an hour conversation we could have, but but we do. There is seasonality in our business, but before our insurance policy, we offered hourly hires, but our insurance was daily. So it was bonkers. But now we can hire a car on our platform for 3 hours for 10 quid, including insurance. So my point being is actually when you're running errands, it doesn't matter if it's January, Monday, piddling down with rain, I still need to use that car for 4 hours. So the more we're having many more bookings now that are hourly as opposed to daily. Our business flipped actually around, which is great. This is where you change mobility, where people use a car once a week to run errands, as opposed to once a year to go to a nice wedding or go away in the UK. But it kind of goes back to my two things really. One, my original point that we've had the search out there. Our bit is actually getting the cars in the system to match up with that search, as well as improving the way that people search for a vehicle. It bugs me that every platform you go onto, it's always the same kind of search features. Well, I don't think that's really what members want. So again, I'm excited to see where our search will go in the future. So actually, if it comes on, we can give you, what you want, and likewise if another member comes on. But I suppose our biggest thing is achieving purpose. So for us, our purpose is, to connect a driver to a car when and where they want them. So going back to your point, I don't actually know in the future why, but I do know that we are extremely good at listening to why people use us. And again, there's been a few user cases where people, they kind of want to know that car's there for their 2 days a week when they drive into the office. We've not had enough frequency, but one of my assumptions, and this is something we'll monitor, is I think we'll have more of that. Then how does our platform evolve around that? So actually, Alex might need a car Monday, Tuesday. I might need a car Wednesday, Thursday. David here might need a car on Friday. But I don't need to solve that problem now because we don't know what it is. But yeah, we keep on looking at actually, I want to create a perfect flow where somebody, or we want to as a company, somebody comes onto the platform via the app or the website, they do one search, they do one booking request, and the owner says yes. That's perfect. We did a great job on conversion last year from request to accept. We're now working on search to request. And then when we get that up, then we have to worry about getting more people searching. But at the moment, that is just not a problem.
It's not a problem. No. Interesting.
One day it might be. I hope it is, but it's not at the moment.
And when you say that the way that's flipped, does that mean now that more people are booking like per hour than they are per day? Really?
Yeah, they are. So we, I won't give out some of the stats because I don't. But basically the MD of Zipcar joined us in 2016, and it was really interesting hearing about their business model. And actually for us now, you know, it was frustrating that our average duration was always around 2 days. And yeah, for us, and most of the time, you know, people would book a car for a day, even though they only needed it for 7 hours because it was the same price. Well, now, you know, we had about 15%, so 1/5 of our bookings were under a day. Well, that now, it's changed. It's changing over the last few weeks, where now people are taking the car, you know, away for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it did flip over to over 50% of our bookings were actually hourly. So we want to keep on working to, you know, it's what members want, but that's where you really change mobility, when you're using your neighbour's car once a week as opposed to once a year. The sexiest car on our platform is a full Fiesta, or, you know, a Golf, or something very, very good value. It's not a Mercedes, and I used to have an Audi A5. You're not going to use that car to go to the shops and back. And if you do want that car, there's plenty of other better options out there than Hiyacar. We just won't list them to start with.
Interesting. And talk to us a little bit about Bristol then, because as I said in the intro, even though you cover the whole of the UK, and when we were talking about the NHS workers before, we're talking about London and Brighton specifically, but where did the aim come to launch somewhere in Bristol? Was that through the partnership with Toyota? Was that something that came off the back of it? Because that sounds like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, well, so again, it goes back to where we were seeing demands coming in.
Right.
It's simple what we do. So we could see that obviously there were people searching, and we did have a few peer-to-peer. It was the same with Brighton. We've actually moved. So see where the search is. And actually, we look at different, you know, lots of other data around the percentage of vehicles in that area. If the city or the town don't particularly like cars, that's great for us, because we can help them. You know, cars aren't going to go away overnight, from what I know, but we can help them share and hopefully get more electric cars into the system as well. But the Toyota's really interesting. So we can go into an area like Bristol, you know, with these hybrids. And we basically, when we see we can see the search there. So going back to purpose, we need to get them a car. If there's not a car there, by default, they can't. And the drivers don't really care too much who owns the car, to be honest. You get some great connections where people go back to that same person, and that's fantastic, and obviously a big part of it. But most of the time, drivers just need a car in the next few hours. They download the app and get the car close to them. But our biggest, so we went live last week, and we did have more bookings than we kind of anticipated last week. But I think the real win was, yes, we helped people achieve purpose, but actually seeing more peer-to-peer owners sign up. And actually, the quicker, you know, the community of Bristol sign up their vehicles and start sharing, the quicker we will move those cars on to our next city.
Right.
We did the same with Brighton. If you look in Brighton now, there's not any you know, Toyota cars. They're all our peer-to-peer owners. So again, we don't want to dump vehicles on. We've got 25 in Bristol, and again, you know, we don't want that really to get any bigger. If anything, we want it to decrease. So so it's using these, getting drivers a car and then moving them on, and peer-to-peer owners actually think, well, that car there, you know, it's a Golf, it's made 1,200 quid. Well, why don't I do it and make £900 and help one of my neighbours out?
Yeah. And any, I don't think you'd share it with us, fine if you don't, but any other areas of the country that are kind of like obvious ones, like crying out for the demand?
So we're going to do 7. So yeah, we're actually really excited. We're going up to Scotland later this year. So Edinburgh and Glasgow. We've been part of Scotland's MAS for about 4 years. So it's actually, they're really great up there, and it's great to actually actively start doing a bit more. And then I think we're going to come a bit closer to home as well. We haven't actually pinpointed the town yet, but yeah, somewhere in between Bristol and London. So it's a bit, you know, one area we've not discussed, and I won't go into too much detail because it's not the most exciting of topics, but is risk. we wouldn't be here if we didn't truly manage risk. Again, in my view, and from what we've heard from our brokers, we have the best kind of claims ratio in the country for what we do, and it's far higher. It's annoying because there's certain areas which actually demographically are just going to be great for sharing, but the insurance is too much of a risk. So we can go street level. So actually there are a few places that we can go in there because actually that part or a certain part of that area might not be as risky. But again, we don't subsidise any of the insurance. So if it's 2x what they're paying in London, people aren't going to use us. So they're better off going to a competitor where they do subsidise the insurance. They deal with the risk somewhere else down the line, mainly by paying more money towards it. So yeah, it's exciting. And again, with all of it, we really kind of see where the search data is coming from, and that will lead. So Edinburgh and Glasgow might change. There might be someone else that comes up in the next months.
And something I think's really interesting, and we're talking about, again, current climate. Kind of, we're hoping post-COVID, but none of us knows is how clean and safe an environment is. And for me, one of the things I thought about when I knew I was chatting to you was the keyless technology that you have means that you don't actually have to come into contact with another human being. So when that's massive playing to your strengths, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So something we spent millions back on this back in 2017, and yeah, obviously again quite a lot of owners were at the office, so they couldn't do the key handover. And there was other solutions out there, but again, we trying to strive for the best, so went for that. But where we are now, drivers generally chose these, we call it quick start, our technology, but it's keyless entry. Drivers like it because they don't have to worry about getting late to the car. If I'm picking up your car, Alex, and I'm stressing out that you're at home waiting for me on a Friday night. So drivers have always really enjoyed the technology. So they've always been a big part of our bookings. But like you say, now it's just another element of risk, I suppose, with, you don't have to do the key handover. And yeah, obviously we work with our owners. I think we're very clear on the website about, we work with our owners to, best practice, the same with our drivers. And from our side, again, it's following government guidelines. And actually with the NHS workers using us, they were quite savvy around this stuff. So we got some real insights there as well, I suppose. And yeah, so again, it's just another, I suppose it shows where tech is a real enabler to allow people to get around and feel safe.
Yeah, and obviously, the sharing economy took a hit during the pandemic. And any thoughts on how else you expect to adapt? And I do hate that term, new normal, because it's just going to be changing all the time. But you kind of know what I mean. Yeah, how else do you expect to adapt to it? And I know you haven't got a crystal ball, but just kind of questions.
Yeah, I going back to these. I don't really. Yeah, I've not spent a lot of time thinking about this. But going back to the community aspects of actually people helping one another, it does. I think there's going to be some really good companies that maybe slightly change, but offer so much value. And I think with the sharing economy is quite a generalised term, and I have quite strong views. There's companies that class themselves sharing economy aren't, in my opinion. Yeah. Actually, but there's been some really pure sharing economy companies that have actually, before COVID, to be honest, kind of didn't make it through. It was difficult for them to scale up and make a business out of it. But I do think now there's going to be a real opportunity for pure sharing economy companies to come out and actually harness the power of people, because people want to help. People got a bit more spare time now, and I think we're made to help one another and interact and get off the phones. And I do get excited by that, and I think there's going to be lots of other opportunities to come on the back of that.
And do you still class yourself or look at it as you're 4 years in, but still look at it as a massive opportunity for the fact that you are able to be so agile compared to some of your competitors who've been around a little bit longer, etc.
Yeah, so I deep pride. I think myself, Rob, and the whole team do that. We, you know, I don't want to go and raise loads of money. I don't want to go and get huge team numbers. I want to deliver the best product for our members and achieve purpose. So yeah, I think. I get asked if we class a startup still. I don't.
Yeah.
No, I think the challenge really is, how do you not lose that? I can remember my stepmom recently just saying about, you know, you're not going to want to. I spend a lot of time with our members, and she's like, "Oh, in the future you won't do that." I'm like, why not? I'm like, you know, why not? And I think actually a few years ago we did take our eye off the ball a little bit. But yeah, no, I think the challenge is how do we make sure we keep this way of thinking, you know, and not get too big for our boots.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a question I could probably ask, you know, every week to somebody I chat to is like, you know, do you still class yourself as a startup, or you now, you know, scale up or established business? It's a good question, isn't it? Really, I don't know, you know, if there's a size of business or how you even delineate it.
I don't think you need to really worry about it. Again, this is, but yeah, I think, the real worry is just making sure we keep listening to what our drivers want and building for that. And yeah, I think it just goes back to keeping it simple. We hear so many people talking. I think these are intelligent people that have built great companies, but certain ways of doing stuff and surveys. You know, we don't do any of that at Hiyacar. I'd rather speak to 50 people. And obviously now the companies, obviously the more people you get into your system, you have opportunities to really solve stuff that's going wrong. So my co-founder Rob, he does a fantastic job with our member support team. Of, you know, we had 2/3 of our team on furlough, and we haven't got a big team. You know, so there were literally like 7 of us working. When our business, you know, June was a 50% increase. Ever. Yeah. And the only reason we managed to achieve that is because we spent so much time last year, and we do, really solving key issues. You know, we don't have call centres because they would just pass the buck on. And, you know, I'm sure some call centres do a great job. It's better than having nothing. For us last year was our biggest ever year. We halved our member support team and actually helped in different parts of the business because we solved key problems. And one of them, actually, when I request a car, an owner doesn't say yes. So then we were trying to give them refunds, although it's automatic. We were trying to get them cars. Well, the core issue is when you request a car, if the owner says yes to start with, you don't have to worry about that stuff. So that was one example, really. And yeah.
Yeah. And interesting, you mentioned before, literally just before lockdown, you were raising funding for the business. Was there, you know, maybe share the story with you know, how things turned out for you, but was there a worry as soon as that happened that, one, you didn't have enough money to, you know, enough runway to kind of see you through, and two, were you ever going to close on it?
Yes, there was definitely. You know, we had money in the bank until Q3, Q4, but again with COVID, like, nobody knew what was going to happen. Right. You know, well, we've got a business where no one's moving, and that's not particularly great. We did see the week before lockdown actually that there was more demand, so it gave us confidence that when people were allowed back out, that there would be demand. But yeah, it's interesting raising money. So we got so before this round we'd raised £9 million, 6.7 from angels, and just one strategic investor, a Japanese company called Hitoshu, who own Quick Fit and Stapleton's here in the UK.
Yeah.
But again, it was picking a partner who can help us grow. So we've never taken VC money again. And so this round was interesting because we had 3 new investors join us. We did 3x the amount that we were going to raise, and we actually had to cap it. You think problems out there in the world, you know, it's a crazy problem to have, and it really isn't a huge one. But yeah, we had to cap our rounds because it was just too much dilution. And actually, our aim now is to use that money to get to profit. So again, with COVID, we were comfortable taking a bit more money on, because you never know if there's going to be a second wave or what's coming. But raising investment over video calls like this, where actually I think that interaction is just so important, was quite a challenge. But you know, most of our raise come from our existing investors. So yeah, so that was good.
And have you embraced the technology, or you're already using a lot of the technology, given the kind of company that you are anyway, like your workers, fellow workers being at home? And
yeah, well, I feel like we've been robbed here, because since day one, our first, since 2016 when we started trading, I think there's lots of words you can associate to a company, but freedom is really important for us. Freedom for drivers to get on the road, freedom to make money, and for my team, I suppose it's the freedom of actually everyone's kind of like their own boss. So we've only ever had 3-day weeks in the office. If people wanted to come in 4, 5, 6, 7, they could do.
Right.
Now hours are very flexible. So Rob and I actually, we'd drop our children off. We'd get the 9:20 train. It was a bit cheaper, so we'd be in the office at 10:30, and you work a bit later. So we've always had lots of flexibility. And again, it goes back to some people prefer to work in the morning, and we're late. So we were always set up for this. And actually, it's interesting now to see lots more companies doing what we did.
Exactly. Yeah.
And with us with the office, we're not going to ask anyone to come back. I was in the office, and I will be later this week. There were 4 or 5 of us in there. But until there's some kind of vaccination and/or people feel safer, we're perfectly happy. I think it's just doing. We spend a lot of time with our members face to face in the office, so obviously that's changing. So more video calls.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're all good there. So it's just what people are comfortable with.
Nice. Well, look, let's finish up with a question. What's the most important thing you're working on right now? What's kind of exciting you most at the moment, Graeme?
Search requests. Let's really understand why people search and don't request. More people that do that don't. So we carry on listening and getting that right. And I just think as a company, the way that people, there've been lots of other peer-to-peer car hire platforms in the world. You get people that hate cars that work at Hiyacar. They want the sustainable side, and so the chance now to really push the hybrids and electric vehicles with the hourly insurance is really exciting, because to use an EV for 3 days is quite a challenge, but to use it for 3 hours, it's perfect. So we want to work more with councils or corporations to try and really shape the way they use their cars, because you keep hearing people talking about this, government officials, but it's always like a 5 or 10 year thing. Well, we can solve it. We can help you solve it now. We don't have to wait for 5 or 10 years. So yeah, I'm excited to do more with the corporates, I suppose, especially councils.
Indeed. An easiest place for people to find out more about how they can get involved, hiyacar.co.uk, or just go straight to the App Store?
Yeah, HIYA, and obviously check out the website. If you're going to sign up, I would strongly recommend using the app, because it's just a lot more slick and less manual and very quick. I think if there's if you've got any questions, just hit live chat. Our team are literally there pretty much 24/7. So yeah, we're there to help with any questions, but it works. We've been doing this for 4.5 years, and people do really look after the cars, and for owners, it's a great way of making some extra money and actually help somebody close to you.
Yeah, no, I love it. Great catching up with you. Love finding out how you and your business are getting on. It's a great story, and I only wish you continued success.
Very kind, appreciate that. Thank you, and thank you everyone for listening.
No worries. So yeah, thank you once again. As I say, everybody, we've got another live webinar coming up in just 20 minutes now, which I'll be hosting again. So it just remains for me to thank Graeme once again for joining us today. Those of you who want to stay on, I'm talking with Asa, everything you wanted to know about Microsoft 365. And look forward to that. And thank you for continuing to watch this show, everybody. Most common asked question I get is, when's the replay available? And the answer is literally as soon as I press end broadcast now. So if you enjoyed this and you find value in it, please share it. The link that you got to watch it with anybody else, and it will be available both here on Crowdcast, on Facebook, on Twitter, and YouTube. So lots of places you can watch. So thank you once again, Graeme. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, buddy. Bye now.